All right. I see quite a few of you have already put your names into chat. Please continue to do so, so we have a nice, easy thing to look at. So this is going to be, I'm getting ahead of myself. This is going to be a little different than our normal weekly debrief overview, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on. First, I hope everybody had at least a good weekend, whether it was relaxing or productive, whether you got to spend time with your families, whether you got to be outdoors, what have you. I hope that you had a good weekend, however you define good. Looking at the week ahead, we've got our debrief on Mondays as usual. On Tuesday, we'll have our first networking event. This is going to be a speed networking event. We have already sorted all of you into pairs based loosely on professional interests and professions that you gave to us, as well as we could pair you up. And some of you were very easily two of you were in healthcare. Let's pair you together. Some we had to get a little creative on how we paired you together, but we came up with 15 pairs. Then what we're going to do is we're planning on having 15 networking contacts for you tomorrow. Then the plan is we'll actually create 15 breakout rooms, and we'll send you an email in advance that says, here's the pair, this is the room you start in. Here's the pair, this is the room you start in. If you start in room 2, for example, you'll have 4 minutes or so to meet and interact with your network contact. And when the time's up, you go from room 2 to room 3. If you start in room 3, you go from 3 to room 4, and you continue going up until you come back around to the room you're in, at which point we should be just about out of time. If you have any questions about any of that, respond to me in the email that I'm going to send out later today. Does that make sense? At least roughly?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, good. And like I said, I'm going to detail all of this in the email. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to let me know. If I do get a question from one of you, I'll probably throw something up into Facebook to say, hey, we had a fellow ask about this, in case some others of you are wondering about the same thing. Here's the answer. The Track Foundation discussion forum is on Thursday. That's to sort of give you an opportunity to talk about the track sessions that you've been doing thus far. Please bring things that you want to talk about to that forum. Our goal for the discussion forums is to get you to talk. We want to hear your thoughts. We want to hear your reactions to some of the sessions. So be prepared to talk about that. That's this week. Hopefully your coaching is going well. If it's not going well, you need to let us know. Any communication problems, anything like that, let us know. It's probably a little challenging as you're trying to think about and form your focus projects, but that's a good thing. That's a good kind of problem to have. But again, if you have any problems, let us know. Oh, little housekeeping item. If you miss an event for any reason, you need to make sure and let me know. As you probably have figured out, we have certain things that we have to do per IREX and per the State Department to be in compliance with this fellowship. We are all professionals here. We all work. We all are subject to life, and sometimes you're going to miss, especially last week when we were getting things sorted out, including communications. If you miss, it is absolutely not the end of the world. Of course not. We simply have to address that, and we have to account for that, which means it's always going to be watch the video for that event, including if you were miss this orientation session, I'd say watch the orientation session, and then in an email to me and Maria, talk and discuss about these things. So when I say discuss, don't send me a sentence. Talk about your thoughts. I want 2 to 3 good paragraphs, right? I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear what you probably would have said in that session, in that orientation, in that discussion group. So that is your way of sort of saying, hey, I may have missed that event, but I still was able to participate in that event.
Oh.
Hello. Let me go ahead and mute everyone. All right. So if you have any questions about that, again, don't hesitate to let me know. We did have a couple of people that missed an event here or there last week, and I've already reached out to those people and done exactly what we talked about. And again, it's important to remember that is not any kind of punishment or any type of pejorative action. It is merely a way for us to say, yes, all the fellows have done the same things, even if it was in a slightly different format. The goal is that you all do these things together because you're going to get so much more out of it. And I hope everybody understands that. As always, if you have any questions, let me know. Again, a quick reminder, it looks like almost everybody is online. I did have 1 or 2 people say they might miss today for specific reasons. Make sure you've thrown your name into chat if you have not done so already. All right, I'm going to throw to Kat for a couple of minutes. Kat created that fantastic newsletter last week that she sent out to everybody. I hope that you find some time to go in and look at some of those links, and it's got some fun information in it. So I hope you take some time for that. But Kat, you want to talk about the other thing?
Yes, thank you, Michael. I'm glad it looked interesting. Okay, so I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that this year, because we're virtual, I've created our new Instagram account for the fellowship. And I'm wanting to do, since I can't take photos of you at events and post them online, I would love to do some Instagram takeovers. So what I've done is I've created a form that you can fill out if you're interested. I know a lot of you are working and doing this as well, and you might feel like you don't have enough time. I completely understand. I'm asking just for like 5 posts for a full day. But if you have to do less than that, that's fine. But I would really love for everybody to see what makes our cohort so amazing. And I'd love to learn more about what y'all are doing. So I'm going to put the link here in the chat. Please sign up if you're interested. I would greatly appreciate it. And I will let the next person take it from here. Thank you.
So I'm old and I don't have an Instagram account. And I'm going to create an Instagram account just so that I can follow you. I'm going to follow Mandela, but then I want to see you take over the Instagram account. So I'm creating one just so that I can see your takeovers. Okay. So do this for me.
Yeah, I think it would be a great way to show not only what you're doing professionally, maybe something you're passionate about, a hobby, you can show your culture, having dinner with your family. So there's nothing specific you have to do, but just share a little bit of your life with us for one day. And that's in the chat.
I would really like to see.
Yeah, I'm excited.
All right, so we're going to talk briefly a little bit more about the debrief and weekly overview. So this week is a little different because Ian is going to be, he's not with us until about 11. He is running a dissertation defense. But the format for the most part moving onwards in weeks 4, 5, and 6, because next week, if you remember, is a reading week, not a weeding week. If you want to do some weeding, you go right in. I can see you laughing at me, Kat. Next week is a reading week. So we won't be meeting next week, although we still plan to, I'm looking at Kat, release a optional cultural video for them. All right, next week. But in the future, what's going to happen for the debriefs, for the most part, moving on, is Maria and I will hop on with Ian, Conrad, if he wants to join. We'll talk briefly about the week ahead, spend maybe 10 minutes talking about each of the events, some of the things that we're going to be doing, some of the things you need to be ready for. It also gives us a chance to do that mandatory attendance that we have to do, that we're forced to do, in case IREX is looking over this. And then once that's done, we're going to hop off. So Kat, Maria, and I will actually hop off, and I'll have made Ian host by the time he starts recording. Once we're done, that's an opportunity for you to discuss with Ian, who is one of the PIs, your reactions to the program, your reactions to the week before. This session is an hour long. At 11:30, we're going to stop recording. And at that time, if you wish to stay on and talk about anything off the record with your fellows, with Ian, you're absolutely welcome to. Hopefully, this is an opportunity and this becomes a vehicle for you to talk about things that are impacting your life and also talk about your reactions to the program. I'm going to very gently put Conrad on the spot and see if he wants to say anything about the coaching that's going on, about the sessions, if he has anything he wants to ask you or talk about very briefly. And he may not. He's thinking about it.
Well, hi, everybody. The coaching sessions I've seen so far, I thought were the ones I participated in. I think I really enjoyed, just have some ideas. People have been working in this area in Africa. There's lots of exciting opportunities in food security, and agribusiness is kind of my area, and health to some extent too. I'm really been excited to see everybody. The discussions about leadership to me have been really kind of fun to see. It's a challenge to be an effective leader. We all can tend to not understand what we're trying to do there, but it's been a privilege to be part of all this academic programming and what we're doing here, and we're really excited. I am really excited to see you all, and looking forward to talk, I think, more with you on Thursday when I'm more in charge of the session. But I think everything's going really well, I was talking with someone that was working on stunning. Gloria and I talked last week and looking at using pictograms to be more effective with that. And I thought it was a very good discussion we had. And I think Ian was talking about an email with me about how it was great to work in the coaching session. So it's really fun to work with you guys, and looking forward to keep doing that.
Fantastic. All right, we've got about 15 minutes or so before Ian joins us. So I'm going to ask if anyone has anything they'd like to share at this point, any questions they'd like to ask about the Institute as a whole. If you want to ask more questions about the networking, if you want to ask questions, this week you should be doing 3 Fellowship Foundation sessions, 2 Track Foundation sessions, a couple of the CLC sessions, and thank you to all of you who have sent me your strengths. IREX is working on the team grid. And once you see that, it's going to be really, really informative for you how you can interact with different people. So does anybody have anything they want to talk about? Excellent. Afidse, please go right ahead. Unmute yourself and tell us what's on your mind.
Well, it's good afternoon for me this side in South Africa. I just wanted I also discussed this with my coach. Last week was quite a hectic week for me with work and exams. I was actually writing an exam this morning. So I am a little bit behind with some of the work, but I'll be able to catch up during this particular week. And then just with the Instagram takeover, we are again now on lockdown level 4. So basically, all one would be able to share is virtual interactions. There isn't much that we can do now because our restrictions are back in place because the numbers have gone back up again. But yes, the coaching session was really informative for me, and especially when dealing with issues of stereotypes, because one would think stereotypes only go one way. So I was also sharing some of my fears or stereotypes that I had if we were able to travel, for instance. Let me speak for myself. What I have heard about Texas and how Black people are not generally welcome there and so forth. So those are kind of things that we're also sharing with my coach. And in turn, my coach also was sharing about the perception that there is about Africa and why from Lubbock. Yeah, he's from Lubbock, the CEO and president of the Lubbock Economic Development Alliance. Why they're a bit hesitant in terms of investment in Africa, because it seems there's so little that is known. But what is definitely known is all of the conflict and all of the unrest and the picture of complete instability. So it also opened my eyes that, stereotypes are not just one-sided. They go both ways. And in many instances, we don't also realize that we are stereotypical. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Afinse. You're absolutely right. Even for those of us who try to be cognizant of those, we almost all have a few ideas of what something is going to be like, even if it's just us thinking ahead. And my guess is that many of you, when you were picturing coming, what it would be like to come to Texas, you're picturing horses and tumbleweeds. It doesn't help that Lubbock has a lot of horses and tumbleweeds. But you're absolutely right. That's something that we have to be cognizant of. Okay. I think, Andre, you had your hand up, and then Namonde.
Thank you, Michael. Actually, Namonde was the first, but sorry, Namonde. So as I was invited in, I'll just go ahead. Yes, it was today and along the weekend, I was doing the ethical leadership, those sessions that I've been watching the videos and so on. And I found out that there was some optional interaction sessions, but I did not have a link or anything about that, so I was not able to find out that there was an optional interaction related to the ethical leadership sessions. So I would like to know if there are more of this nature during the fellowship, and if they are, maybe it would be helpful to have the links ahead, even though they are optional, so that we can see on our schedule that we are supposed to attend those. So yeah, that's the only thing that I had to put forward. Thank you.
So to answer your question, I did not know about the optional ethical leadership. That probably came either from IREX or has to do with your track or foundation sessions. I can tell you that anything we're hosting, anything we're doing, we've actually already created the Zoom link, shared it with you via email, put it in Canvas on the pages, and put it in Canvas on the calendar. This might be a great vehicle for Facebook, where if one of you gets a link for something, share it on Facebook and say, hey, here's the link for the blah, 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 which is taking place this day and time. Because I did not even realize or wasn't aware that that was taking place. And I can absolutely sympathize, Andre, that it would be a little frustrating not knowing how to access something like that. So I can tell you we've done everything we can regarding anything we have control over. I'll also go a step further, and that if there's an optional additional session of some kind, and one of you shares the link with myself or Maria, then we'll throw it into Canvas. We'll put it on our Canvas page. We would happily do that for you if there's something coming up that we don't know about. Hopefully that sounds good. All right, Namonde, and then Lydia.
Thank you so much. Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you so much to the team, to IREX and our coaches and our facilitators here. We really feel welcomed, and we're really happy to be able to converse with you so much all the time. And we're really happy that you're always there for us. Thank you so much for creating a group on WhatsApp and for having us feel included. I mean, yes, we're not in Texas, but we definitely feel like, we're so close to you. And then this is kind of a piggyback over what Ofense and Andre said. So I noticed I'm probably not the only one. In the group, there are people that are falling behind, and there are a few people who may be a bit ahead. I think this is just an open question. My first question is, hi everyone, how are you all doing, and how are you finding, this whole Yali experience so far? And then the second one is there a way we can all share tips on how to catch up with some of the modules that are online, or tips on how to manage our time? Some people are working, we understand that, and there's some people who are able to do things a bit quicker than others. We have reading week up next week. I was wondering if it would be great for everyone to kind of at least have completed the stage before we start the next week. And with this, maybe we could have our own Zoom meetings, maybe without the facilitators, just to kind of update each other. We still do have WhatsApp, but just to help each other, through some of the steps. Since we already know we have that time slot, that 1 hour. I'm not going to say what time because it's 5:30 for me and something else for someone else. But during reading week, could we at least meet once, twice, maybe 3 times in the week, so that by the time reading week finishes, we all kind of have similar ideas of what we should have done by then. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, absolutely fantastic. First of all, you're so welcome. We miss you guys, and we wish that we could be closer. So we're trying to do everything we can to help things feel as close as possible. As for your thoughts about engaging with each other, oh my God, yes. I cannot say enough times to use each other as a resource. Like a great many of you, I'm trying to improve myself, and I'm in an EDD program, a doctoral program for higher education administration. And we formed a closed Facebook group. And at first we were a little quiet with each other because we didn't know each other. And my guess is you're seeing some of the same things. But we got to a point where in that Facebook group, we were literally saying, hey, everybody, don't forget, we've got to do this. Hey, everybody, don't forget, this has to get done this week. Hey, our deadline for this assignment is 3 p.m. tomorrow, or, and we really became a huge resource for each other. And I cannot emphasize enough that you absolutely should do that. When Ian comes on, he's going to talk about he's going to talk about stress management. He's going to talk a little bit about time management. And I think those are going to be very valuable tools. I love the idea of you fellows doing a Zoom call, doing a Facebook call of some kind and getting together, and feel free, to use this time slot during that reading week. I think that's a wonderful idea. We can't facilitate that. And I think that's good for 2 reasons. One, we don't want to get in trouble with IREX in the State Department, But the other thing is, I do like the idea of you being able to talk about us behind our backs. I'm kidding. I really do like the idea of you being able to be a little more comfortable and speak maybe even a little more freely with each other in case you're having trouble or you're looking at assignment and going, that's stupid. Hopefully not. Hopefully you're getting a lot out of everything. But I absolutely love these ideas. So I'm going to encourage you, talk to each other on Facebook. If you want to trade numbers in here, do whatever you need to do to create an opportunity to visit with each other next week. You are going to be your best resource for this program. So use each other. All right, Lydia, what are your thoughts? I can see you're unmuted, Lydia, but I can't hear you. Oh. All right. You'll notice that Ian has joined us.
Good evening, everybody. Good morning over here, but good evening to y'all.
All right.
Evening.
Lydia was trying to share some thoughts with us. She's unmuted, but we haven't heard her. At this point, I'm going to keep this recording, and I'll come back at 11:30 to stop the recording. But at this point, I'm going to walk away from my computer, close the door, shut off the lights, and let you talk amongst yourselves, unless you have any other questions for Maria, Kat, or myself. Going once. Mohammed, it looks like you're sipping something wonderful over there. Is that tea, coffee?
Black coffee.
Black coffee. Whew.
I had a long day at work, and I was at a hospital almost the entire day. So I just got home and I was a little bit tired, and I decided at least I need to grab a coffee to keep myself attentive.
I can respect that. Yes. All right, I didn't see any other questions, so I'm gonna go ahead and step away. I have to stay on the call because I'm recording it. In subsequent sessions, Ian will be able to record it and I'll just drop off the call. But for now, Kat, Maria, thanks, and I'm walking away. Turning my volume all the way down so nobody will even hear you.
All right. Well, good evening, everybody. Thank y'all for waiting for me. We had a very we had a interesting situation come up within the college, that one of our faculty members had a death in the family that they had to attend to, and we had to move a dissertation defense the day before the defense, which was challenging. So I appreciate y'all being able to wait and hang out for a little bit extra. The meeting itself will conclude at 11:30 as per the requirements with IREX. We have that meeting time set for that time. However, I will be available after the meeting. We will stop the recording at 11:30, but I'll be available to talk past the meeting. I had put on my schedule throughout the Institute for 2 hours. So for 1 hour, we can address topics that are very specific to the programming and things of that nature. I will take some notes. I will provide the education administrative team with those notes, but maybe not the specifics about who said what, although they do have the recording to review themselves. Afterwards, you can also continue to talk, and I will record some general themes or notes, but again, nothing specific to where if, let's say, Felix shares with me something specific that pertains to him, I will not go say to the education or the admin team that Felix said this, unless, of course, Felix wants me to pass that message. But otherwise, I may say what I'm hearing from some of the fellows is, or some concerns that are coming up are, but not direct that to specific fellows. That way it keeps some confidentiality and some anonymity for you. And that it would also gives an avenue for providing some feedback to try to help make this experience as meaningful as possible. Does anybody have any questions or anything for me before I lead into the main talking point for today? Like Muhammad, I'm having my cup of coffee, but it's 11 o'clock over here in the afternoon, but it's already been a long day. So if there is no questions at the moment, and I can't see everybody's screen because of the amount of people who are on the call. So if I don't notice that you are raising a hand or making some motion to be recognized, share the coffee. Yeah, it's not great coffee, but I'd gladly share it if everybody was here. You can unmute at any point in time and just speak directly to me, and we'll manage, taking turns and things of that nature if more than one person is wanting to talk. One of the things that has been brought to my attention is that there's some feelings of being overwhelmed right now, and there was something else. Let's see. The main one, though, that I heard, or that I was brought to my attention, was that folks are feeling a little bit overwhelmed and maybe a little bit anxious because of the Institute and the amount of work or managing the workload. But that was the only message that I received, so I didn't get any more specifics. Does anybody care to elaborate a little further on what may be overwhelming or producing some anxiety as it relates to the Institute. Okay. Delamini, and I'm gonna, and please help me to learn to say your names correctly. I want to make sure that I'm calling you in by the way that your name sounds. And sometimes I read that differently. Somebody did have their hand raised. I am trying to unmute them. Let's see. Give me a moment here. Are you all able to unmute your own microphones at this point?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so whoever had their hand raised, please go ahead and ask your question or share what you'd like to share.
Okay. I can't see how many people. Okay, go ahead, Fatima.
Okay, thank you. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
I'm actually the one who mentioned that they were feeling a little bit overwhelmed and tired and fatigued because I put in so much work, so much time on my focus project. And then today I had a chat with my colleague. I work in a pharmacy, so my project was going to be a dispensary focused project. So I had a chat with dispensary staff so that they can give me their opinion. And obviously, I would love them to be on board when we implement the project. And I would love to hear their opinion and take them into consideration. So from what I get from them is that they're not so much in support of the project, and the reasons really made a lot of sense. And I wish I contacted them strongly at the time I was working on the project. So I have to sit now again and relook at my focus project plan and actually do something that I had initially said I would do when I was applying for yearly fellowship. So I have to look at that again. And the other thing that makes me feel overwhelmed is the fact that I am stepping in for my boss at work. He is currently doing his annual leave, so everything falls on my head. I come back from work tired, and I have to sit and do some work on Canvas. But after sharing with my friends on WhatsApp group, I think I feel so much better. Thank you, everyone.
Is that there is a lot of, Fatima, there's a lot of power in sharing some of those moments that we have, especially those moments that are sometimes harder to share, our disappointments, our hurts, our confusions, our sometimes we feel like when a project or an idea doesn't go the way that we thought it would, that the time that we spent on the project has been wasted. And I've come to learn that that's a very important part of the process, is to go through those thoughts, because if we don't have those thoughts or those actions that you put into maybe the project now that isn't doesn't seem like it's going to fit, you can take those elements and add them into different parts of the project, and not maybe the specifics of what the project that you wanted to address was trying to get at, but the learning from what happened that made that project not be the project, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So I just stepped out of a dissertation defense of a student that we had prepared, and I chaired the dissertation. We had prepared the dissertation. I thought the dissertation was very clean, very well put together, but the committee members still found holes or mistakes that needed to be corrected. So it was a little disappointing because we did expect that we would have very few revisions, and we have more than a few revisions to make. But all this is an effort to help his product be stronger. And that's the same with what's going on with your coaching projects, Fatima. And in my own experiences with some of my coaches, with the people who I'm coaching, we've seen the idea shift or change or take a slightly different tone, because the way that one person may be looking at it may not be the best way to get support from the other areas that need to have that support. And
Yeah.
those are difficult conversations to have, because our emotion, our energy, our work is tied up in what we're doing, and that's always a challenging situation to be in, because our ego comes into play a little bit as well. Does that sound congruent with your experience, Fatima?
Yeah. Yes.
And
And
go ahead.
yeah, and I'm waiting on sharing this project with my boss before I change completely to a different project, because maybe he may have a different, he may look at it from a different perspective that could perhaps make sense both for me and my colleague at Sensory.
Yes, yes. And the other aspect that you brought up, that you brought up too, was the juggling of the work in this institute, because of COVID and the way things have gone this past year with the world pandemic, that I'm sure everybody's getting tired of hearing of, but it's still here and it's still around, is that other fellows in the past stepped away from their job for 2 months. Y'all are having to both manage jobs. Some of y'all are managing family as well. And that separation isn't there from those other things that do take your time and take your energy. And they need to, because we have to keep our professional livelihood well. And it's wise to keep our relationships with others strong too. And then now you have this added program that is essentially like being in night school for you all, since everything occurs pretty much in the evenings for you all. So you go through a full work day, and then you have to find some energy somewhere to pay attention and to get engaged.
That's
And,
nice.
and that is a big challenge. And one of the places where it can be the most taxing is on your creativity, on your ability to solve problems or to adjust to things as they come up. Because when we're tired, we tend to be more stubborn. We tend to not listen as well as we did before. Any of us who have kids know that it's much easier to parent when you have a decent night's sleep and some energy, than it is when you're very tired. When you're very tired, I tend to be short with my kids. I speak very sharply at them, and maybe not the most kind person. And when I evaluate that, is it am I really that upset with my children? No, I'm really just that tired. And once I say that to myself and I identify that, and then I also share that with my wife, and I share that with my kids, I notice that I tend to grab onto anger less than I did before. And you can replace the word anger with whatever emotion you are experiencing, because we all have different go to emotions. For me, I'm comfortable when I'm upset and angry, as crazy as that sounds. So when I'm feeling the least bit, not when I'm not feeling like myself, I tend to grab anger first. Some of us grab depressive thoughts first. Some of us grab anxious thoughts. Some of us grab disappointment, hurt. Um, some folks who figured it out really well grab happiness, and that helps them build their energy. So there's some basic things that can be done during these times where we feel ourselves wavering and our energy depleting, that we can do. And there's that sometimes people think they're silly things. Sometimes people think that they don't work, but these are things that for thousands of years people have been using. So I don't think I'm about to tell you anything new that's a revelation by any means, but it is maybe a reminder to get back to some things that are a part of who we are as people, as humans who walk this earth. And one of the things that I do when I find my anxious thoughts getting the best of me, or my angry thoughts getting the best of me, is I take my shoes off and I go put my feet in the dirt, in the ground. If I have soft dirt, I cover my feet with the dirt just for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I stop and I take the time to breathe. I take the time to focus internally on how my body is reacting to my environment around me. Things as simple as feeling the warmth of the sun on my skin and recognizing that warmth, that warmth is life energy, that is something that can refill my empty cup, because my cup at the end of the day is fairly empty. So today is a work day for me, and I'm right in the middle of my work day. But at 4 or 5 o'clock, I need to go be dad and play with my kids. So my office is in my backyard, thankfully, but what I'll do is when I walk out of my office, I will walk out barefoot. I will go to our sandbox and I'll put my feet in that sand for 10 minutes and focus in on the birds singing, the wind blowing, all those little detailed aspects that we may walk by and not pay attention to in our life on a daily basis. But I have myself reconnect with that energy. This morning, I was reading a book on mastery and just mastering different concepts, not one in particular, but the path of a master and someone who is trying to become or attain mastery in something. And one of the things, and I thought it was so silly until I tried it this morning, is I'm in my head a lot. And I find myself when I'm frustrated, I've got my hand on my head. I'm pounding my head. I'm like, thinking like my hands are always gravitating towards where my energy is centered. And right now, my energy was centered in my head this morning. I was a little worried and afraid that the dissertation defense would not go well. But as I was noticing these feelings coming up with me as I was reading this book on mastery, the chapter, and I don't believe in coincidences in life, but the chapter that I so non-coincidentally started reading was about recentering ourselves, even in the physical sense. So I'm going to stand up for a moment to show you that I had my hands on my head, and the book suggested that you touch your center, which is about, here's my belly button, is about 2 inches below the belly button, and tap. And just now, as I'm doing that, I could feel the transfer of energy, which comes in the form of blood flow and electrical impulses, but I could feel that transfer of energy leaving my head and going down into the rest of my body and dispersing. So instead of being focused and localized here like an infection, and sometimes my thoughts are an infection, they don't do me well. I get to disperse my thoughts and make them more manageable. And sometimes it comes out in those somatic, physical representations. So after I did that this morning, I'm not an exercise guru by any means, but this year is the year I chose to become a martial artist. And I got down and I did my 50 push-ups a day. Our master in martial arts tells us that we need to do 50 push-ups a day, because when we test for our black belt, in the middle of our 3-hour black belt test, we have to do 50 push-ups. So after I had taken my energy from my head and tapped 2 inches below my belly button to let that energy transfer, I then did my 50 push-ups. And sometimes I can get all 50 straight. Sometimes I cannot get all 50 at one time. This morning, I got all 50 in one time. And when I came up from my push-ups, I felt energized, but I also felt relaxed, as if I had gotten to release negative energy that could have changed my perceptions of how my day went. Other things that we can do is physically grounding ourselves, like with our feet on the dirt. Sometimes we don't have that opportunity. We may be in an office setting where we take off our shoes, that's not going to be looked at very well. Go touch a tree if you have one nearby, or an office plant that you have, but touch, connect to something living. That's the key. And I believe the earth and the dirt, even though it's considered non-living, is a living source of our energy in our environment. So go put something, I guess maybe living is put your hands on something natural. Natural. My mom is with us right now, and I think she's moving in here pretty soon. So I always find myself, I will go get a hug. And as I was thinking about, I didn't hug my mom a couple days ago because I wasn't feeling well and I didn't want to pass germs. A report on the radio came about a study out of Harvard University about the immense power of hugs and how a hug in the morning can increase your energy throughout the day and start your day with a positive energy instead of the negativity that we may wake up with as those thoughts surface when we wake up in the morning. Anybody have any thoughts or questions or things that they would like to add or ask? Or I know I spoke for a while there. Those thoughts were burning in my mind today, so I wanted to share those with you. I think Namonde had something to say before Fatima, so I did want to give you that chance to also speak, Namonde, if you would like.
Hi again. Just, yeah, FYI, you're pronouncing it really well. My name is Nomonde, but I usually tell people Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I hate Mondays, so call me No Monday.
No
Makes
Monday.
it easy for you to catch. Yeah.
Gotcha. No Monday.
Yeah. But I think I shared the same sentiments as Fatima, so I'd just like to say thank you, Fatima, for bringing that up. And yeah, so far, I think those conversations already helping a lot of us.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. And I will continue to try to provide, if we want to call them words of wisdom. I don't like to put that much pressure on myself, but I'll continue to try to provide y'all with different things that you all can do to try to cope with some of the stress and overwhelm that you're feeling. The connections that we make during this institute are a little different than in the past, and y'all are going to hear this quite a bit, maybe to the point of being tired of hearing it. But it does cause a lot of changes with how we connect with everybody. So continue and keep connecting with your fellows. Reach out to those people who have similar or shared experiences, but also remember to reach out to those who may not be having the shared experiences, because they may have a perspective that is serving them very well when sometimes our own perspectives may not be serving us well. So sometimes my son and my daughter are the people who correct me and get me back in my right mindset. A couple of days ago, I was pretty down about a couple of work situations that were really bothering me. Like Fatima, who's going through her annual review, I am going up for tenure as a professor. So this is my 5-year review of all of my production, and I just submitted it Friday night. A long document, almost as long as a dissertation. And there was a lot of stress and pressure and anxiety wrapped up around that. And I started doubting myself very heavily, very heavily. I don't think this is good. I know I've made mistakes. They're going to see those mistakes. They're not going to grant me tenure because I misspelled this word. In counseling, we call it catastrophizing, just making the situation way worse than it needs to be just because we let our own thoughts run away. And then, so we've named a couple of these things. We've named these responses as, one is poor me. And that's what I was doing. I was being a poor me, Nothing's going to go my way. I was feeling sorry for myself. And my son told me that. My son looked at me, he's 8.5 years old, and he says, Dad, you're being a poor me right now. And we need to change that. Like first I had to stop and listen, an 8.5-year-old telling me what I needed to do. But then he said it again. And that time I really listened. And I looked at him and I had to say, you're right. What can we do? And we watched a silly movie called Luca. It's a Disney movie about some fish people that once they come onto land, they turn into people. But when they get back in the water, they turn into fish. But one of the fish people, they had this thing where they said, Silencio Bruno. And silencio is just Italian for a polite way of saying shut up. And they called the little voice, the negative voice in their head that told them it wasn't okay to do things, they called him Bruno. So every time that thought came up in the movie, whereas they were scared to do something, the main character would say, Silencio Bruno, and say it until, and they started the first time, he's like, Silencio Bruno. He's like, no, say it with some confidence. Silencio Bruno. And he kept on saying it until by the third or fourth time, my son made me do this, and I felt silly. I just wanted to pour in another cup of coffee and go about being stuck in my thoughts. And the way the movie goes is that they say it to the point that he's loud. He's like, can you hear that voice anymore? And the character responds, no, all I can hear is you yelling at me. He's good. That's better than the voice. Silencio Bruno. So now it's a joke in our family, but it's one that still works. It provides us with laughter, which is healing. And then it provides us with a perspective shift and an energy shift. And even just saying that to you all, I already felt my energy shift just saying it. My back is straighter. I'm smiling. I'm feeling energized for the rest of my day. And it has nothing to do with the coffee that I haven't even finished. It has everything to do with I have opened up my energy.
Yeah.
And for those folks that are energy oriented, there's a lot of different schools of thought. I'm not going to say one is right or one is wrong. Whichever one makes sense to you is right for you. If we look at the profession of chiropractic medicine, the back cracking is all to open up your spine, which is the main conduit of electrical impulses. That's the neurological, neuropsychological explanation, which confuses me. It's our phone line. It's our channel of communication. And the straighter we are, the more we have a chance. You can drive faster. It's hard to drive fast on a road that has a lot of curves. But when we're on a straight road, we can really drive fast. And so can our energy, and our energy can get to the places that it needs to get to. So one of the things that we can do when we're feeling depleted is fake it until you make it. We hear that saying all the time. Part of that is by standing with your back straight. You can tap that spot 2 inches below your belly. One of the other things that we do is, and this one is really silly, but it feels so good when you're done, is to do the superhero pose. Back straight, hands on your hip, your chest out, your head held high. Do that for 2 minutes. 2 minutes minimum when you feel negative thoughts capturing your energy. And after 2 minutes, you will feel different. It will help increase the blood, even if it's just from a neuro perspective, it increases blood flow and connection to your brain.
Jan, please.
Yes, go ahead.
Can you take that again?
Can I say that again?
When you were standing.
Yes, Nathaniel? Which part would you like?
Yeah. When you the demonstration, when you were standing.
Yes. The standing position is with your legs, and I'll see if I can get with my camera, with your legs spread just about shoulder width apart, and then moving up, your hands are on your hip, and I'll move my camera up now. Well, after moving it around a lot. And then we stand just like a superhero would stand. Bum, 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 bum. And in my head, I even play that stupid music. And it helps. Like already, just twice since I've done this, my back, I feel the tingles going down my spine. I can feel my energy shifting where it needs to go. And if I'm still stuck in my head, the thing that I learned this morning is to physically move it to my center. And then I'm centering my energy. Because if not, then I'll be top heavy. The thoughts stay in my head and I don't have balance. I'm more likely to trip and fall over. But if I can get everything centralized, then I can do something with it. I can do something productive with it. So after this, I may go practice my martial arts for 15, 20 minutes. And each time I'm doing a move, the energy that I don't want, I'm shooting out of my fingertips.
Yay!
And putting that energy out. But then when I pull back in, I'm pulling in good energy. And for some people, this may be a silly visualization. And I felt silly and I still feel silly doing that at times. But it works. And if it's silly and it works, I'll be silly. I'd rather be silly and happy than stressed and thoughtful.
Okay.
Yeah, so I see a couple of people have heard of the superhero pose. That was a study at a Princeton University, I think, or the Princeton Medical School. I could be misquoting that, but it's one of those top tier universities, Princeton or Harvard or Brown or Cornell. I love that, Fatima. You throw the quote, "One love," all the way. One love is it's such a heartwarming way to walk through the world, is to have that love and love in and love out.
Yeah.
Because the idea is once we can get and expel some of that negative energy, is then to also expel love. Because when you put love out, you receive love back. When we only put out negative energy, it shouldn't be a surprise if we have negative experiences that come back. Fatima,
Hello.
yes. Who are we? Who are we
This is
hearing?
Malitia from Lesotho. I'm actually
Okay.
going to talk about the pose that Ian just made now. Over the weekend, in Lesotho, it's very cold. So over the weekend, I was in rural Lesotho for a funeral. So when I came back with a bit of flu. So I wasn't feeling so good today. My energies were a bit low. But after seeing this pose, it may look silly or it may sound silly, but after saying it now, it just lightened up my mood. So I'm actually feeling a bit better now. I didn't really do it, but after seeing you doing it, I feel much better.
Excellent. And so you were breaking up a little bit, but I think I heard most of what you said, is that you were feeling tired and low on energy after your day today. But during this conversation, you have tried the pose for a couple of minutes and that you're already feeling just a little bit better. Or maybe even more than a little bit, but that's what I could pick up on. And remember, everyone, that there is no one magic pill or one magic way to make everything different. It's a number of small things that we do. So now if we combine some of these things, like take your shoes off and put your feet in the dirt and do the superhero pose, you can double up. And it's not necessarily to say that's going to give you 2 times the energy. It doesn't quite work in the quantitative, quantifiable way. It works, but it does compound on one another. So since everybody has finished up their workday, it seems like, or at least is on pause during this, would y'all like to, hey, maybe get everybody give it a try in superhero pose for a little bit? We can do for 2 minutes. I can set our timer for 2 minutes, and 2 minutes when you're in silence seems like a painfully long time. But as we take this 2 minutes to ourselves and to share this 2 minutes with another, because I've also found that when I'm doing these activities with people, that the transference of energy is real through a virtual means. We can still connect on deep levels with people in a virtual setting if we push past those thoughts that come up that, oh, I can't connect with them because it's through Zoom.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
What we'll do for the next 2 minutes is I would like for everybody to think of their favorite superhero if they have one. If they don't have a favorite hero, think of yourself as being a superhero. As you're doing that, think about where and feel about where in your body you feel the preponderance, the collection of energy. And let's try, as we superhero pose, to move that down, because where you put your hands here on the side of your hips is also right about at that point that we would tap anyway. So this serves as the same purpose as this. We're shifting that energy and giving more pathways for the energy to flow from our head down to our arms, to our center, and to our core, so we can remain balanced. Yes, Wonder Woman, a favorite. My sister was Wonder Woman for Halloween when I was 5 years old. I'll never forget that. I was Spider-Man this year. That's my guy. So everybody, if you have the space available to you and you have the opportunity, please join me in standing up for a couple of minutes, and I will put the timer on for 2 minutes. And I'll do this as well because I could use the boost of energy. And as we are thinking and standing, shift and focus and move the energy from our heads down our arms to our cores.
Just want to let you know, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. You continue as long as you like.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you.